fun. And we got a little exercise in, didn't we? Oh, you know what we need to do? Plant some more trees, don't you think? I think planting some trees tonight would be so good for us, huh? Okay, so I must tell you some good tales about this house. This is the Whaley house. Now, Mr. Whaley came here on a wagon train. It took him 203 days to cross the country. And he went from New York to San Francisco. And he set up a commissary there. And then, about 3 years after that, he wanted to come down here because he had heard of the beginning of the gold rush starting, and he wanted to make some money. He was an entrepreneur. So he came here to look at a property that was only $12. Right here on this corner. $12! Do you believe it? Okay, so, do you know why it was only $12? Because the only thing that was here outside of the historical square that we drove around down the block, this had the gallows on it for 100 years. And that's all that was here. Nothing else was here in town at the time. Nothing. Isn't that interesting? And guess who got hung right here? Yankee Jim. So right here inside the house, there is one entryway that is rounded. That's right where the gallows was. Who wants their dream house to be built right there? This is a beautiful two-story Greek revival, isn't it? Well, he built it for his wife, Anna, and he brought her here, and they had 6 children. The second child they had died in that pandemic I told you about of scarlet fever, and later that year, a fire ripped through Old Town and took out the granary, which was right here. And so Whaley took his family back up to San Francisco for about 10 years. And then a big earthquake happened up there, and they had to come back down here, right? After they came back down here, their 2 daughters got married on the same day. One got married to her first cousin, which was legal back then, and the other one married a man by the name of Bertolacci. Now, Mr. Bertolacci, he was not a very nice husband. He abandoned his wife after 2 weeks of wedded bliss on their honeymoon up in San Francisco. Mr. Whaley had given Mr. Bertolacci a sizable amount of money for a dowry. And they were to leave to go to Chicago. Well, she woke up to an empty hotel room. Her wedding ring that was on the side table was gone. And her clothing in her bags were gone. Her coat was gone. Her scarf was gone. And her gloves were all gone. And she thought, oh, my husband's being wonderful. He went to the coffee shop to get us a coffee and took our luggage straight to the train station. So I'll get dressed and go meet him. And that's what she did. And at 19 years old, she went straight to the train station, and guess what she found? Mr. Bertolacci was on the arm of another woman. who was wearing her wedding ring and carrying her bags and had her coat on and her scarf and her gloves. She got a little bit hysterical, wouldn't you? And she went to the station manager and inquired, and the station manager went to Mr. Bertolacci, and he said, "I've never seen that woman before in my life." And they got on the train and left. And left poor Violet standing there all by herself at 19 years old. No money and no means of transportation. She walked all the way back here to Mommy and Daddy. Collapsed at their feet. Spent the next year very, very depressed. And then tried to take her life and jumped in a cistern. Do you know what a cistern is? Do you know what a cistern is? It's one of those wells. If you holler down there and say, "Hello," it echoes back at you. "Hello, hello, hello." One of those? You've seen those in the movies?
Yeah.
Okay. One of those wells. That well was right there in the corner where the grass is. Okay, now, you must know that she used to wear boots. I came at a different time period called the more Edwardian than Victorian. And so I don't wear hoops, thank goodness. I would never be able to plant a tree if I was wearing a hoop, would I? But those hoops kept her from drowning. And Mr. Whaley heard her screaming, and he came out and got her. And they put her on suicide watch for 3 weeks. And then, at the end of those 3 weeks, they thought she was doing better, so they relaxed a little bit. And she went into her dad's study one morning when he was cooking breakfast in the kitchen, which is right there. And she stuffed his gun up under her petticoat and came right out here to the outhouse and shot herself in the heart. And Mr. Whaley heard the gunshot and came running out, knocked the door down, scooped her into his arms, took her through the kitchen into the front room where she died in his arms. Now, I have to tell you that that is a really sad story. And the way I found it out is that Violet came to me in the middle of the night and woke me up, screaming at the top of her lungs. And I thought that my dog had died in the other room and somebody was broken into our house. So I ran over there only to find my dog snoring. And then Violet was yelling in my ear. I came down here the next day and sat with her and promised I would be her best friend if she never woke me up like that again. And she has respected that, actually. And so I tell her story to all of my guests because people need to know Mr. Bertolacci was not a nice husband. Right? Girl power. That's what I tell Violet. Girl power. Right? Men are wonderful. And girls are too. And we all need to learn a lesson from that, right? We can all talk to each other. Now, one thing I want to leave you with tonight is that there have been many things that have happened here, and there's so many ghosts that they've documented here they think that there is a vortex right in that corner behind that wall. And that's right where the courthouse is. And so many people were sentenced to die there. And considering the hanging took place over 100 years here, that would lead me to believe that there were lots of ghosts that hang out here. And I can assure you they do. I can assure you they do. So, I have so many more stories I could share with you, but I would love to invite you to walk around and take some pictures. Now, you may very well catch something here, especially orbs on the lawn over there. Violet is said to hang out right there on the corner. There's even been a police report that you can go and look up on the city that says a policeman saw her and talked to her and heard a gunshot, and she disappeared right before his eyes. It's on a police report. Pretty interesting, huh? Yes. That is creepy. I'm not going to promise you anything will levitate over here. However, lots of things show up in pictures. So on the back of the house, you might catch Violet up in the upper right window. That would have been the main bedroom. And over on the left could be another person, and that would be Mr. Thomas Tanner, who started the first professional theater in San Diego. Sometimes he shows up there, and Mr. and Mrs. Whaley often show up in the window down here by the kitchen. So you can peek your head in, but unfortunately, because they're doing tours inside the house, we're not allowed to go in, but you can peek around and definitely walk around. So I want to graciously thank you all for coming on my tour this evening. I had so much fun with you. It's my favorite thing to do, and I hope that you'll come back and visit again soon. Now, I did want to tip my hat to you and tell you gratuities are most appreciated, but are definitely appreciated for coming tonight. Thank you so much. I will be here if you have questions for the rest of the evening. Thank you. Take pictures.